I'm not crazy about the process, but I've gotten so used to it that like I'm not a baby about it anymore.
Are
we
live?
Should be live.
Oh, hello, everybody.
Well, hello, internet.
Zoe confirms we are live.
Hey, Zoe. Hey, everybody.
You can hear us. Happy Monday. Yes,
Indeed.
visionaries. Thanks, Raymond.
Visionaries or visionaires? They're both good.
They're both really good. Take your pick. If you want to be a visionaire,
I kind of like visionaire because like visionaries are all over the place. But how many visionaires do you know?
That's true. Yeah, people claim they claim I am a visionary. Oh, you
right?
are?
Yeah.
Since when?
Well,
What's your name?
I think it's cool if when someone refers to someone else as a visionary, it's like that's a compliment.
Okay.
Call yourself a visionary, you better be a good one.
You better have a track record.
It's like,
what's your resume? What awards?
It's like saying that you're a influencer and a thinker.
Or
in a
like,
bio.
I'm handsome and pretty. Like, oh, you are? Okay.
Who says? Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's like, live your truth. Live your truth. Exactly. But I used to, many moons ago, I used to have a boyfriend who called himself a thinker in a bio. And I was like, you need to change that. Because it implies that other people aren't thinking. And that's weird. Like, it's like,
it's rude.
I do. Yeah. I'm a thinker. Oh, really? What are the rest of us doing?
We're just blank. If you're thinking you're
I haven't looked at his bio lately. It probably doesn't say that
That's my bio. I should put, I'm blank.
And if you've looked into any of the cognitive theory lately, we don't have free choice anyway. So the thoughts we have are just chemical reactions that we're
they're not
observing.
ours.
Yeah,
Okay.
they're just there. It's just the continuation of the science experiment that is the universe.
So it's not necessarily fate, but it's just not ours to begin with. It doesn't belong to us.
Right.
What?
That's rude.
That
I'm
hurts
making
my
own
tired
choices.
brain.
Yes, I feel like I'm making my own choices with my words right now. I could say something, but I won't. So I'm saying something else, right? No. And Amos, you're like, no, that's predetermined, or it's just doesn't belong to me, even though I'm choosing to say it. Man, this is a brain exercise for Monday.
Yeah, if you look into free will, every thought you have is just a chemical reaction from previous interactions in the universe. So it's all just continual chemical reaction in your brain.
But as a baby, when you don't have previous interactions, isn't it your choice?
No, because the chemicals have had previous interactions. In
the womb?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, the carbon that makes up part of your brain has been around since for 12 billion years. You were not the first person to occupy that carbon. I know it's way deeper than I could ever consider. A Word with Tom Merritt has a thing called free will. It's like one of the first episodes. It'll blow your mind.
Weird Ami in chat mentioning my dislike of someone calling themselves a thinker says, don't say you're a father and a husband for the same reason. Now, I think that one's a little different because you could be a man or person and not a father or a husband. So it's like it gives some context into, who you are.
Is he saying?
But I get it. It's a little like okay. That's not like super hard to do.
It's like I'm a good father and a great husband. Like
that's yeah, but just simply stating what you in fact are is an issue.
Right. So
I mean, I could say in my bio daughter, which I think implies that like it's important to that I love my mother kind of thing. I don't know. I mean, I do, but I wouldn't add daughter to my bio. I don't know. I guess I don't think it's that weird. No,
you just add it in the grave, right? Most people do that or I've seen in the tombstone.
I'm like in the grave,
right?
No, you know what I mean, like the tombstone.
Yes. Friend, aunt, wife, daughter.
Right.
I was many things to many
4-inch
people.
letters etched in granite, daughter. Yeah.
So weird.
I
This
find
is
that weird
Monday,
on
everybody.
gravestones too.
You find it weird?
It is.
Oh,
I do.
Yeah. I guess I feel like it's just a family thing. You just do to identify.
It's
Not
like
that I would do it,
context.
but
Yeah.
yeah,
It's sort of like honoring everyone who loved the person who has passed.
yeah.
I also really intend on my corporal being interred into ash and spread amongst the ocean. So I think graveyards and the internment of bodies into the soil in a big casket and everything else, I think that's weird. But that's me.
My dad was buried. He lives in a very nice cemetery. There's a bench, It's not near me in LA, but it's near where my mom lives. And so, I don't find it like weird or unpleasant to go, but, I didn't enjoy the funeral. Not a fun event, but, yeah, not to get too weird, but when my dad bought his plot of land, my mom has one, next to him. So she's actually, her name is already on the gravestone.
It's already on there. Oh.
Yeah. It just
They
doesn't
don't just
have
leave
her
it blank?
date of death.
Yeah.
It has her date of birth and then like a hyphen, and then, they're going to fill in the rest of it later, which is like, that can be a little jarring,
Yeah.
I've had people be like, isn't that like really freak you out? And I'm like, well, not really. They're just planners. But they didn't get me one. Where am I supposed to go? I guess it was assumed I would just, have my own family. Yeah. Well, got news for you, parents.
I usually see it blank, like they're waiting and it's just like a, blank this long. And then I think that's what my dad's is, blank. And it's, anyway.
Yeah. I mean, got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, wow. What a topic this morning. Monday afternoon for us. Monday evening for some people.
Oh, man.
Oh, I got to have some more coffee, everybody. This is, yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, back to death.
Yeah.
I have like a Grim
Thank you for
Reaper
writing the ship.
outfit for Halloween. I should pull it out. Actually, I don't know. Did we get rid of it? Maybe we did. Who knows?
We in the audience just assume that Tom has everything in a bag of holding in his office.
Everything? Oh, you mean
Yeah.
like things that we have? No. Look, I
Yeah,
have
because he
stuff
can
in
just
here.
pull stuff out of nowhere and just be like, here's the
It's-
program
it's-
from 1984's
yeah.
rendition of whatever in my 11th grade class.
Which is funny too, because often it's not even Tom that's like setting up the conversation. Someone on GDI will like mention something obscure, and Tom will be like, "It's in my bookcase." We're like, "How
is
many
a
things
rather-
do you have back there?" It kind of
It
looks
is-
like.
Yeah, it's pretty packed back there, and I
Well, once in
sometimes
a
look at
while
it
he'll
and
have to go and dig in a
"Hmm."
drawer. He'll open the little cabinet off to the side and have to pull something out of there, and it's like, ooh, you
Yeah.
went to level 2.
Yeah, you guys don't see what's in front of him, but there's stuff.
Yeah,
There's a whole closet. There's more
the
bookcases.
whole room is filled.
It's just filled. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Well, speaking
always
of filled, I
wonder-
think we've got an afternoon of filled of Apple
oh,
news.
so many pieces of news.
So many newses.
Wait till
Can
you
y'all
hear us
tell
talk
we're a
about the
little
news.
like, I don't know, like punchy? I guess I feel a little punchy. I don't
do
know.
too.
I just I had a midday slump. I'm fine. I'm here, but I feel like slightly crazy. I don't know.
Let me ask the
going
chat
on
room
with
real
me?
quick if they can reset Showbot for me so I can have an accurate count for later.
Oh, I found one more story. Sarah, I don't know. Let me see. I'll just ping this to you. You tell me if you feel like commenting on it.
Are you doing private chat in StreamYard or Discord?
Discord?
Okay.
Perfect.
There's my little Discord.
Thank you,
Reading
W.
this.
Kind of helpful.
Let's
Kind of
see.
helpful.
What happened? I didn't do it.
Oh, you didn't do anything.
pay
Is
no
this
attention
old?
to
Is this
man.
way old? Have you already read this?
I mean, it's from last week.
Oh, okay. I didn't catch it last week. We had a lot.
Every time this article on Mac Stories was written by John Voorhees, and I always read it as Jason Voorhees. Like, I know I've seen his byline before, and even if your name was Jason Voorhees, like, I mean, okay, I mean, maybe your parents like the name Jason, and your surname is Voorhees, but I just
Did you grow up in Crystal Lake? Like, I don't know.
I know, yeah, like. So this is what you moonlight doing, huh? Apple News. Yeah, because you're kind of a jerk the rest of the time.
Oh yeah, I kind of don't want to be near you, dude. Or we can save it for something else later. But all right.
I mean,
We're like,
it was news since the last time we did the show, so I think it's fair
Okay.
game in that sense.
then let's let me add it to like the top or after topic 2.
Let's see. I mean, you could do it in topic 3.
Yeah. It's not quite a wish list, but okay. Doesn't matter.
We're fluid.
Actually, we
fluid.
we could wish for more like green, like recycling. Anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Sarah, I'm ready when you are with the count-in.
Okay. I am too. Let me just make sure I've got all my tabs in the right places. And I don't. I like things just so. Okay. Let's do it. In 3, 2. Hey everybody, welcome to Apple Vision Show, episode 11. How y'all doing out there? I'm Sarah Lane.
And I'm Eileen Rivera. 1 and 1. Here we go. We're in the teens. The teens for our
Oh, I was like 1 and 1 makes 2 of us.
11.
I didn't know what you meant. Yeah, episode 11. You know, Eileen, some people out there who have haven't totally tuned me out because I'm, kind of weird about stuff. I'm really into palindromes. So episode 11 is technically our first.
It is our first, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I mean, I think, once we graduate to 21, we can finally have our drinks, right? Like,
I think so. I think
do we play
episode
the
21,
European card?
we can have a bev of our choice. In fact, we're both
Okay.
drinking caffeine today.
We're trying to stay up.
Unfortunately, this is not spiked. Although
This is a
I could use
Monday.
that later.
I gotta say, in our pre-show, it is feeling like a Monday. It's Monday, and I don't know if you believe in some
Ghosts?
of the celestial stuff, like Mercury in retrograde, because I've talked about this at nauseum with my coworkers and blah 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 in the past. I really feel it. I really feel like it's happening right now. Like things don't work 100%. Things are kind of broken here and there. And then I just kind
Yeah.
of feel like I feel pressure a little bit. Like there's like don't feel pressure. Don't push things. So I'm just kind of trying to like sit back till this whole friggin' thing is over, which is supposedly in a week.
Oh, Mercury is in retrograde right now. Is
Yeah.
that what's happening? Yeah. See, I don't follow that stuff. And I also, if I'm being honest, I also feel like that becomes a great excuse for somebody being a real jerk. Oh, it was a full moon. I
Oh,
couldn't
sure.
help
Yeah.
it.
You could definitely use that
like
if
it's
you wanted
like,
to. Yeah.
Mercury's in retrograde. I'm a Libra. I mean, I can only be a Libra, right? It's like, what are you talking about? But anyway, I think there's probably some truth to that, but I think sometimes people go overboard, and so I find it a little eye-rolly. But if you're out there being like, no, astrology is really cool, then all power to you.
I don't want to believe it. I just sense things happening and sometimes I look at it. I don't even know that it's happening. Then I'm like, why is it so hard lately? And then I look it up. I'm like, oh, all right. Well, forget about it. I'm just not even. Well, I'll sign the contract in a couple weeks when this whole thing's gone. Apparently, so.
Yeah. I mean, I will say before, we don't have to get all into zodiac signs, but I will say that the general, the bio of a Libra, the attributes of a Libra, because I'm October, are, a lot of them I'm like, yeah, that is like me. But I don't feel like a like daily horoscope is something that I have to take too
Oh, yeah.
seriously. And I also don't like it when people go like, "Oh, you're a Libra, cool. I get along with Libras." I'm like, well, but that should not be like my identifying trait. It should be like me.
Well, well, if we're really going to get technical, there's also your sun's, your moon sign, your whatever that creates the you because of the time that you were born, which is significant to only you. So just because you're a Libra doesn't mean that is your only, like, this is the window of who Sarah is, because there's so many other parts to you, which is,
Sure.
And
And
which
there's
is what
like
you're
nature
saying.
versus nurture, which all plays into this. It's like, you can be a very different person than you were 10 years ago for all sorts of reasons.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. So
some of it on purpose, some of it out of your control. So
exactly.
yeah, I don't know. But hey, you do you, internet. You do you. Well, here on Apple Vision Show, sometimes Eileen and I go down little rabbit holes, little tangents. So this is definitely one of those days. We're both, before we started recording, we both talked about how, it feels like a case of the Mondays a little bit today. A couple hours ago, I had that post-lunch, like, oh man, like, do I have time for a nap? Which I generally don't like doing because then I just have to wake up all over again and I'm groggy and naps are fine sometimes, but not really like in the middle of a work day for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I had to go outside. I stood outside in the sun and just stood because I was like, I need the vitamin D and I just need to be outside because, I mostly sit in my office, I mostly sit in the house. And so I kind of felt myself like I need to wake up. So I
Yeah.
see the sun is bright. And for those who live in California, we've had rain the last couple of days. It's been kind of gloomy and yucky. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, thank God for the sun. Let me just stand there, even though, it's not like super hot or anything like that. But I felt like that helped me. I even considered,
Oh, big time.
throwing my laptop out there and like maybe trying to do this whole thing outside. But no, I knew that would be a bad idea. I was like, I wonder if I did this outside, but it was too windy.
You could give it a try. Yeah, if the conditions were right and we did a little test run, I say
Mm-hmm.
vitamin D it up. I don't know that I would be able to. Well, I mean, I could. I could be outside at some point. The problem with my apartment, which I love in basically every respect, is I don't have outdoor space. We have like a nice landscaped front yard, but it's like there's not really room to like put chairs out there because it's like all these like plants. They look pretty, but you just sort of look at it. You're not really standing, you're not going to stand on the plants. And then the backyard is a driveway. So it's like,
You're like,
yeah, I mean, you kind of, it's useful, but you don't want to hang out there, for very long.
and you don't have one of
unless
those
you're,
apartments with like a rooftop or something where you could,
Well, what's
hang out
funny
there.
is my neighbor, my apartment building, see, tangent again. My apartment building is 4 units. And one of my neighbors is, he's very into like growing tomato plants and, chili peppers. He seems to have a real green thumb. So he's in the back all the time and he has a ladder that sometimes he uses to get on the top of our garage, which is just 1 story. The building I'm in is 2 stories, but like from my bedroom, I look onto the top of the garage behind us.
see.
Kind of hard to explain, but that is just flat. And he's got plants up there and he goes up there and waters the plants. And I'm like, well, I don't know how you'd get like a lawn chair up the ladder, but if you did, that would be kind of fun. Like a little urban oasis.
Yeah. Take your drinks out there, especially on like a nice sunset day or whatever.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know. I mean,
It's not
probably just
super
go to the
convenient.
beach.
Yeah, it's not like you can just like really have proper stairs to just walk up and be like, "Great, I'm out here," But yeah. Anyway, one day maybe I'll do this outside.
Maybe you and I are getting to the Apple news kind of slowly today because we've got news. Apple's always in the news, but it does feel like sort of a, I don't know, a light period because we had Apple announcements, a new MacBook Airs in March.
Yep.
Yeah. Not a big event, just, an announcement. There was an event, but, it was small. It wasn't like a big event that was live streamed or anything like that. And we've got, still rumored, but we expect iPad announcements early May, first week of May. May 6th, I think, is the date that people have been given. We've got WWDC, which is for sure happening in June, which is not a surprise. I mean, Apple announces that ahead of time. Developer conference wants to make sure developers have time to get ready and get excited. Then we've got, iPhone event, which would be iPhone 16's new iOS, which I assume we're probably not going to hear about in any capacity until WWDC, but that's, that'll be fun.
Yeah.
And then a variety of other rumors happening later in the year. Apple Watch event possibly, or certainly new next-gen Apple Watches. I'm interested in that, even though my Apple Watch is fine. I don't need a new one, but, I'm just so into my Apple Watch that I'm like, tell me how it's better. Kind of like an iPhone.
Exactly.
And, so anything striking your fancy the most?
I mean, I'm already hearing as I was, sifting through news, it feels so light. People are already like, we just got the M3s and people are jumped to M4s already, M4 news. I'm like, oh, okay. Then maybe those of us with a 1, maybe then that would be the time. And that, they're, the prospects are like at the end of the year. So it's like, maybe that's when I do the upgrade.
I was looking at all of the, again, some rumors, or at least, from very reliable sources like Mark Gurman over at Bloomberg, for example, Ming-Chi Kuo. But I was like, all right, so, looking at all this stuff, let's just say what is expected to be announced, and available soon after happens. Like, what do I want? Well, I have an iPhone 15. So, okay. I'm off the train of get a new iPhone every year. I used to. It was often just bought through where I worked. So I probably wouldn't have done it if, I was paying out of pocket. But there was a time that I did that. I got new iPhones as gifts too. Very nice gift a few times from others. So I was able to, be like, ooh, I have the fancy new iPhone. But yeah, I don't think I need anything. In fact, I think the last time I was super excited about, well, actually, the last time I was annoyed with this kind of stuff, going back to your point of like, we're just talking about M3s, now it's M4. I had a Mac Mini that I bought in 2019, and it was like right before the Mac Mini M1 was announced. Well, not right before, but like, maybe it was a little bit more than 6 months, but it was like, I could have waited. But I didn't know, and I needed it at the time. So, but people will, especially because they're like, Sarah, you're an Apple person. Should I get, this or that? Like, what should I wait? And I'm like, do you need something now? I mean, if you really believe the next thing is worth waiting for, and you can hold on. But if you need something now, get something now. All these products are good.
As you were talking, I was just thinking, have we reached the point with technology that we have gotten to speeds and tools? We have enough where how much do we need? What is the thing that's going to take people to upgrade? Like, is it going to be that much more reliable and efficient? Probably not. Like, it's going to take several more generations before, than it used to. Like before, it'd be like, oh, we're all just like excited for just the extra oomph, because it's even faster. Well, we were starting from 0, right? And we're getting faster and faster. Now it's like, how much more speed do I really, really need? Now, there might be programs or whatever that are going to stop using, whatever version from the past. And so you do need to upgrade, and that's the program or software that you need. But I'm wondering if there's just a sense of, I don't want to say tech overload, but like we have enough of what's enough for us as a human society that we don't need to jump immediately. We could wait. Because to your point, you don't need to jump to the next, iPhone 16, probably. but maybe 17 if there's even a really
Yeah.
huge appealing change. But what if there isn't? Then maybe you could wait, because the battery lives are getting better, right? I mean, obviously if your battery life is going to get depleted, then like, yeah, you better upgrade. But
Well, and so
I'm
much of it
wondering,
is in Apple's case, but obviously this applies to any ecosystem, but particularly mobile ecosystems. It's the software. iOS 18, I'm very interested in, and I can run it. Yay! I don't get left out.
Yeah.
I even had, before I had the iPhone 13. I skipped the 14. I got the 13 a couple years ago, but I mean, I had been rocking, I think, a 10 before the 13 for years, like smashed up screen. I mean, it was falling apart. And, people like, honestly, like my friends would be like, Sarah, really? And I'm like, it works. I know it looks weird, but it's easy to pick out in a crowd. But I just kept like being like, well, I'll wait till the next iPhone. And it kept turning into like, where we're in July. So all I have to do is get to October. But then October would come around and I'm like, it's fine.
It's fine. Yeah.
It also depends on, how much are you worried about saving money? I'm always worried about that. So
yeah. Like, how much do you really need this action button? You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's the thing. It's the latest. I'm like, I don't even use it. I forget that it's there. And then sometimes I think, well, maybe I should change what it actually does so that I will use it. I haven't. It's for a camera, but I don't even use. I end up going to the app and doing the thing when I actually have the action button for the camera. I'm just not used to using it. But and I'm, I have this phone, new from when it was launched. But yeah, so those little increments are not, to me, enough for most people anymore. Like, I feel like we've just gotten to the point where all the new bells and whistles are not that crazy. They're not that like life shattering that, wow, okay, this is going to help me pay for my groceries in a way that I've never been. No, I've got Wallet. You've got Wallet. It still works. It's the same one. How much, the cash registers haven't changed. In fact, there's, I finally feel like, oh, wow, my grocery store accepts Wallet. Amazing. Where sometimes I run into those stores that just haven't, turned on that type of technology. So I don't know, just got me thinking about like the upgrade cycles of things. And I think it's good for us to know, to be able to report and try, the new like hardware and new software. But for normal people out there, for everybody else, it's,
lifestyle wise, because we do try to approach Apple news from a lifestyle slant here on Apple Vision Show, because you can read news anywhere. In fact, there are some great news podcasts as well.
There really are.
But
that you might be a part of, right, Sarah?
Yeah, indeed. But from a lifestyle perspective, I mean, my Mac Mini is starting to feel a little sluggish right now. I do some pretty intensive editing at times, and that poor fan is just going, and I'm like, oh, you poor little thing. I should, I could get a. Are we up to M3 Mac Minis yet? I think only M2. I can't remember right now, but I could vastly probably speed up my workflow. But also, I'm not limping along that much yet.
Yeah.
And I do have an M1 MacBook Air that I love. I know that the M3s are impressing everybody, but I'm still impressed by the M1. I love this thing. I do not.
My laptop is
my
laptop is an M1, and I honestly don't know that I need to change it quite yet. Maybe, like I said, with the M4s, if they're that much more capable, and I need to upgrade because software will work better with that, machine. But otherwise, I'm happy with my stuff. Like,
yeah, I feel like if we think of things in like a 5-year, like how different is the iPhone 15 from what we had 5 years ago. It's like, okay, remarkably different, because iOS is different, camera got better. We can, add widgets to our home screen. I mean, you can say, oh yeah, look at how different these are, or the sizes of the phone, or the shape of the phone, the design of the phone. But year to year, again, it goes back to, I really wouldn't, unless you just have money to burn and you just want the latest and the greatest.
Lucky you.
Yeah. Or for some reason, it's your job. And so you need to be able to compare and contrast. Maybe you're a developer. There are reasons that you have to do this. But I think, for the average person who is interested in Apple products or any products at all, it's like, do you need it right now?
Right.
Is there something you can't do right now that you need to do? And that's where it's like, get it then if you can. But,
exactly.
But otherwise, you're never going to stop playing catch up ever.
Exactly. And it just feels like, well, I just got this phone a year ago, and I have to change the case, and I have to change the cables, and like that's just it's exhaustive. I've already forgotten what I was going to say. Oh, I know. A couple of weeks ago, we were talking about how supposedly earth-shattering iOS, the next iOS will be 18.
Yeah.
And, perhaps if that is earth-shattering enough that you need to upgrade your phone to work with that could be a reason. So I'm still waiting for I honestly, do you think this is going to be I still think about it on a day-to-day. Is this going to be so earth-shattering? I want to put my own personal bet that it will be 50% of what I thought was earth-shattering. And the other 50 is like, okay.
I mean, the whole thing with iOS 18 is that Apple is clearly catching up in the AI race. And so, and Siri is, I don't know. I mean, Siri works really well for certain things, but this could be the next generation of a true, AI embedded into an OS and on device, which would mean the processing happens on the device itself. So and a lot of people are excited about that because there are issues with it coming from the cloud. But yeah, I mean I there's so much AI right now that I'm like, okay, I read the news. I report on the news. AI is not going away. It's part of the news now. And there's so many tools that I don't use. I'm not a student. I'm not writing a resume. I find that for, everyday stuff that I do for work, it doesn't feel super necessary or helpful. And maybe I'm just stuck in my ways. But I am interested in how it would enhance the iOS experience. Because I'm sort of like, okay, so, but what, do I have it launch an app? I don't think I'm thinking outside the box enough to know, how crazy cool it might be.
Yeah. But again, you may not, the rush to upgrade the hardware is not necessarily needed to play with those new potential tools. Potentially.
Right. Yeah.
So,
yeah. Unless you just have a device that can't be upgraded.
The 11.
Updated. Yeah.
I want to know how many people in our audience have what are you holding out for before upgrading? Like you said, Sarah, you're rocking, an older phone for a long time. What does it take for you to finally make that push? Is it your device just dies after 3 hours and you're finally because that's where I'm at with the watch, right? I'm like, oh, although it's doing actually pretty good. Oh, I'm not wearing it right now. It's doing pretty good these days. So since I upgraded its own OS, so maybe that was the problem. I've pretty much ignored my watch.
That iPhone 10 that I had that was all cracked and falling apart, you could see part of the processor in the back. I mean, it really was I was almost proud of it after a certain point because I'm just
it still works.
I mean, it's psychotically bad looking, but it just keeps ticking. But I remember what happened because I was like, why did I finally spring for the 13? Because people, several years went by. It was because I dropped it in the toilet.
Oh.
And it was in my back pocket. I didn't drop it in the toilet on purpose, but jeans, you can visualize this. And because it was so ripped apart, there was water got in to the point where it was just bricked. There was no put it in rice or, let it, dry out for a while. It was nah, it was done. And I actually was okay, the universe just needed to give me a little nudge. But
that's
it needed to happen. Yeah.
That's pretty extreme. You've waited till it basically didn't work. Zoe Brings Bacon says 3 years between iPhone models. I think that's pretty good, actually. And that's what I mean.
Yeah.
I feel like the devices have gotten stronger over the years, that the need to upgrade to keep up, and even for me, it was always battery life, back in the day, is not there anymore. Like that urgent need, you know?
Yeah.
And I also feel like we've been living with this technology for so long now. The need to jump to the next biggest processor or whatever is reserved for real tech enthusiasts, or I guess people who have money, like we talked about. So
Yeah.
I,
I mean,
you know,
battery life I know it, depreciates over
mhm.
time. It's just, batteries are great when they're new. But my battery life on my iPhone, I mean, I don't really think about charging it all that often. Obviously, I
Mm,
do, but it's like,
yeah,
this is not something I'm thinking about throughout the day. It's like, if
yeah.
it's on a full charge. I also don't use my iPhone as much as some people do.
Mm,
It is not like
your main
the
device. Yeah,
it's when I'm home, I'm almost never using it. I'm
yeah,
on my laptop or I'm here at my work desk. But my Apple Watch, same thing. We've talked about this before, but I've got my little charger here when I wake up in the morning, because I like to wear it at night, so I don't
yeah.
charge it overnight. Wake up in the morning, I know I'm going to be sitting for a while, so like there's no steps for it to miss. And
Yeah.
it charges within the hour. And it's like, okay, if I forget to do that every day, I run into trouble. But that doesn't
Mhm.
happen very often. It's like battery life is not a thing I'm chasing very
Yeah.
much.
It used to be for me. I used to get really frustrated, and I would know it would be like after like the first 6 months, I would start to kind of feel, this is way back, old iPhones. I would start to feel like, oh, I have to charge it a little bit more often. And then come in
Yeah.
10 months, it's like, I can't wait for this upgrade. The announcement comes out, thank God. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, when can I order? When can I order? And then I get that phone and then it's replaced. But
Right.
I never feel that anymore. It was a common thing, at least in my mind, that needed to be upgraded for. Not
I,
anymore.
I mean,
Everybody, kids,
it,
you're living the good life. You
you
didn't
really
have the
are.
iPhone
I mean,
2007.
remember when you couldn't charge anything on a plane,
Oh my gosh,
Now
yeah.
sometimes it's still like, but I don't really worry about. I also don't really fly very much anymore, but I don't worry about that. If you're in an airport, there are outlets everywhere. It used to be like
Yep.
you had to like sit on the floor and like like with like 5 people glaring at you because like they want to use it too. It's
Yeah.
like,
How long are you gonna be there, miss?
yeah,
Are
it
you gonna
depends
get
on
up?
the airport, of course, but
Yeah.
most of the more modern terminals, they got you covered.
Right.
Everybody's charging, but yeah, it used to be just there was, yes, battery range anxiety across the board, and I don't know, maybe there's someone out there being like, no, I have horrible battery range anxiety,
I know.
and for that I am sorry. I don't know
Yeah.
what
Well,
to
there's
tell you.
also really cool like third-party magnetic batteries now that I use. This is for those of you looking at the video, I'm holding up an Anker magnetic battery, and I take this with me like if I know I'm going to be gone like pretty much all day, just to, extra juice, and
Yeah.
it works,
Yep.
and I
I know
love it.
somebody who loves theirs as well.
It's
Loves it.
life
I don't have
saver.
that. You know what I am gonna get though? I'm gonna get that. We talked about this. I think it was last week. The wireless CarPlay
Oh yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
adapter.
Mhm.
Even though because my car, it's CarPlay enabled, but it has to be wired. But
Mhm.
which it does. That doesn't bother me. Like there's a place in my center console where like it's nicely out of the way. It's
I
it's
see.
really no
Yeah.
big deal. But just knowing it could be wireless, I'm like, that would be kind of cool.
That would be cool.
Just set it down and less sort of cables in the middle of the
Yeah.
car.
Yeah.
All right, so Eileen, let's talk a little bit about depending on how this story was a big story as we're recording this on Monday. Depending on which news outlet you might have read, it's either not that big a deal or a huge deal that after overtaking Samsung, which had been, I think, in the top spot since like 2010, like a really long time, this is quarterly for global smartphones that are shipped. Apple surpassed Samsung at the end of last quarter, which ended in December. But at the end of this next quarter, which just ended, Samsung's back in the top spot. Now, it's not really that weird because Samsung historically has been in the top spot, but it was kind of a big deal when it was like, all right, Apple, overall shipments, it's in first. So it's back in second, but there's more to it. I mean, it's not just sort of like, oh, they're racing and, there's all these factors for why, okay, why did Apple ship fewer iPhones? I mean, I think a lot of it is the China economy slowing down, which means companies like Huawei are enjoying that. Xiaomi are enjoying a little bit more of the, people wanting more feature phones and not iPhones. Obviously, Samsung is a luxury brand of phone, I would say, and Samsung is just doing really well.
Yeah,
worldwide.
and I think this could probably just ping pong back and forth at this point. And you know what? I always think about it as like, there could be a potential for good innovation. Like there's a friendly, I don't know, maybe it's not friendly. There's a competition here, right? For having the top market. And every time someone jockeys above, then they're like, okay, well, we gotta, the other company's like, well, what are we going to do to claim that top spot? Whether or not they really want to advertise that or not, there's always, people within a certain company that's number two that's like, how are we going to get that number one? And potentially that could be a new killer feature. And hopefully that benefits the rest of us, right? That benefits the consumer. And so that's what I'm hoping. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, it can't be number one forever. So maybe a good run. But we'll see. We'll see, we'll see how this all kind of works out. But it's kind of like, all right, that now, I mean, I don't want to say this because people would be like, what? But like, is Apple the underdog now? You know what I mean? Like all of a sudden taking the number two seat. I mean, they're both juggernauts, but like, there's a little bit of an underdog feel when you're number two. Like, all right, well, I'm going to be number one. How do we do that? Right.
Right. That's bit of a two-man race, although obviously, other companies can and will continue to gain in market share. I think what a lot of people who again follow this stuff closely. I know this is it's sort of financials and numbers. It's very businessy, but the overall market of smartphone shipments grew. So shipments are on the rise. So Apple falling, leads people to be like, ooh, that Chinese market is they're really hurting. Is Apple not looking to other emerging markets enough to be able to make some inroads there? I mean, maybe, probably. This is. I mean, it's very cyclical.
Yes.
And yet, I also think, if I'm being honest, a lot of people just love to hate on Apple. They're just not Apple people. And so it's like, this is just like, yeah, suck it, Apple. Samsung's back.
That's just the norm these days, is to love the negative news, right? Like, oh, what, they got some negative news. Let's pump that up, which, when we were looking for stories, I'm like, yeah, I know this could be a little bit sound negative, but I feel like, well, we'll see, the tables, these are, quarter to quarter, we'll see how this all changes. I feel like it's just going to be a jockeying back and forth, but nothing to like, I don't know, nothing to really sneeze about. People make a bigger deal out of it than it really is.
Yeah, I mean, I think again, our lifestyle takeaway is, it's not like Apple is going to not give us iOS 18 because of this. I mean, they're looking way years ahead into the future. No matter what happens, it's like you plan stuff out pretty far when you work at the scale of manufacturing that these companies do. So yeah, it's worth a mention. That's worth a mention. Thought.
Don't fret. Nothing to worry about if you're worried at all. Just something to just keep an eye on, like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
If your friends have a Samsung and you didn't see them with a Samsung before, well, maybe they're contributing to this news. I don't know. Right. Oh, you're the one that contributed to the news I heard on Apple Vision Show. How dare you? How dare you? You're the one that's giving me the green bubble on the message.
Oh, the
You
green
know.
bubble. Gosh, I wish it was less of an issue, but it really is a big issue. Not for me. I even if I am in a conversation with someone with an Android phone, like that doesn't bother me at all. It's the group.
Yeah.
It's the group texts where things get weird.
Yeah.
Or they just register. They look weird. They show up weird, and you're like, "What? What's happening?" It's just so
Yeah.
stupid. But
Yeah.
hopefully, with RCS, we'll be in better shape.
We'll see. Hopefully through iOS 18. Oh man. All right. Should we take a quick break?
Let's do it.
I didn't know, Amos, if you were going to play her. And we are back. And I am alone. I did notice this is good because then I'll remember here at this point that Sarah left. There, thank you, Amos, for joining me for a few seconds. This will be good for me when I edit the show. Everybody who is watching live and it will forever live in YouTube. But for the audio, they will not know because I will edit that.
I saw her freeze up and was trying to maybe show her or show you only, and then let her come back in, see if StreamYard would fix itself, and it didn't work. So then when you guys did go to the cut, I had to go back over and hit the button. So it's
Weird Ami. Yes, we were always supposed to be all about Apple. Always. We just kind of, there we go. It was like almost perfect during the ad. So it was like, this is going to be easy to edit.
Well, what's funny was as we were getting to the break, I had my little beach ball going, and I'm like,
oh yeah,
what's going on with Chrome, But then you said take a break, and I was like, all right. And then it's like silence, and I'm like, wow, we're taking a long break. And then I realized that Chrome had crashed.
Well, it was silent, and then all of a sudden I saw because there was no choice. I came full screen, and I was like, oh, Amos, why did you do that? And then I'm thinking, because Sarah's gone.
Because I was trying to bounce Sarah, get her video to restart. So.
Oh gosh, gracious.
We're back now.
We are back. All
right, I'll hit the music here in a second.
Okay.
Hold on 1 second. 1 second. I need
holding.
Thank you. I need.
You need to reboot some more?
No, I don't need to reboot, but I need. But for some reason, our dock is not open anymore, so I need to.
Okay, gotcha.
Let me find it. Isn't it supposed to be in Google Drive? Where is it?
I was looking at the time and I was like, well, we should probably take the break here. And as soon as I put that up there, I noticed that Sarah's video was jacked, and I was like, oh, well, that's fortuitous. That's going to work out nice.
Right.
Good.
It worked out actually seamlessly for audio. So literally, like after the, I'll cut out the part where I say, waiting for the slate. And
can
then
can you send me the link? I don't know why it's nowhere.
Yeah.
Put it in the private chat.
Thank you. Beautiful. All right, we're back. I don't know. Okay. All right.
Dun dun dun.
Are we gonna?
Are you ready?
We don't have to mention that you left, because it was clean. So
yeah. All right.
Whenever you're ready.
I'll hit the streamer here in just a second.
Eileen, I said earlier that I've got my Mac Mini that powers this office scenario that I have that I use for everything. And so in a way, I mean, for streaming and good audio and lighting and all that stuff, I mean, it's not like a crazy setup, but it's a computer that's running everything. Mm-hmm. And that said, it's not an M1. It's the generation just before that. And I said, it gets a little sluggish sometimes. This is a great example. Because during our break, I started getting the beach ball, and I was like,
Yep.
come on. Now, Chrome it didn't like crash. I mean, I just had to force quit. So I'm not going to blame the Mac Mini, but
Okay.
it feels like this just keeps happening. And I don't have issues with Chrome on my M1 iMac or MacBook Air.
Okay.
Too many things, Eileen, too many things. So it's like I hesitate to say, oh, it must be Chrome, because I think it might be the Mac Mini.
Interesting.
Come on, little guy, stay with me.
Remember a couple weeks ago when I had that like disastrous like 8
Right.
times dropout. It
Yeah.
was Chrome, and I have and I also have an M1 on my laptop, my Pro, but I have since switched to Firefox, and I'm not having an issue. Now, last week I was using Chrome, but that was so that I could. Anyway, that was a long technical situation because Amos wasn't here, so I used Chrome. But this week I went back, and for several weeks since that crash, I've been using Firefox. But I don't know, maybe it is the M1 too. Maybe I need to think about that.
There are definitely Chrome and Firefox are my 2 most used browsers as well. I sometimes use Safari. Funny that, this is an Apple show. I'm just going to be really honest. I use Safari like twice a year. Because sometimes I'm just like, something's rendering weird in Chrome. Let's see how it looks on Safari, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But and it's not because Safari isn't a great browser. In fact, I think it is great. It's just force of habit more than anything.
Yeah.
I've got so many, I sync all my Chrome extension, everything is just.
I gotcha already. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm very much in the Google universe, in all things cloud. But yeah. Stupid.
So you're going to
beach
be
ball.
super excited for that Mac Mini M3 when that comes out. Sarah's going to be first in line.
The nice thing about the minis is, they're not free, but they're pretty affordable for what they do. And it's just, it's a little workhorse,
Yeah.
It's just, I keep looking at it. I'm like,
you want to show
Mac
us,
Mini.
no, wait, don't unplug it. But, it's smaller in size, right? So, it's, I don't know. Now you got me thinking maybe I should get that as my next device.
I would love an iMac Pro, but it's just not in the budget anytime soon. So getting a new Mac Mini and rocking my Asus monitor that I have right now makes way more sense.
Oh, there it is.
Pocketbook and just work with what you got type thing.
Yeah. Well, these are our choices if you're looking at our video right now of different Mac Minis. And, comparably, that is, not that bad of a price. The middle, too. Look at that. $799, 8-core CPU, 10-core CPU, 8 gigs unified memory.
Yeah. These are nice. And yeah, I'm into it. All right. So when was the last time, Eileen, you used the app OpenTable to reserve a restaurant? Not even necessarily like something that was like hard to get into, but just to know ahead of time, we got reservations for 7 type thing.
Oh, like I think a couple, 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember. Not pretty recent. Yeah.
Yeah, you and Tom go out to dinner fairly often, and obviously you've got, friends around. And in fact, I think when you and Tom and I went out, now the restaurant we went to, we just went early because you knew it got busy later.
Yeah.
I don't know if they take reservations or not, probably not. But OpenTable has been my go-to. Yeah, speaking of apps, I would say it's one of my more used. Not post-pandemic, not as much because I just got used to never going out to eat, and now I'm still trying to get back to life. But now that I'm living in LA again, surrounded by all these options, and it's so nice to just be like, all right, make the reservation, blah blah blah. Well, so that's what OpenTable does. Hopefully, I'm not explaining the obvious because many of you are familiar with it already. But what it also has is, the reservation system and then the review system. So I can say, all right, I made reservations for 3 at such and such restaurant. And then afterwards, I really liked the food or I didn't. You rate it, between 1 and 5 type thing. very much the review system that is familiar. It's like Yelp, but just based on OpenTable. And OpenTable announced last week that it was going to do away with anonymous reviews, which were allowed up until this point. But it was also going to be retroactive. So if I, Sarah Lane, left an anonymous review that for whatever reason, I really wanted to be anonymous, even if I have a profile on OpenTable. Maybe it was because I hated the restaurant and I said something really scathing. Maybe I just didn't want my name associated with it, kind of thing. They were going to add my first name, so not Sarah Lane, but Sarah, and a profile picture if I had uploaded one, which I didn't even know. I had to look at my app and be like, do I have a profile picture? No, I don't. But like I do on Yelp. I mean, I just forgot to add one. I usually always have a profile picture if I'm, if it's an option. But a lot of people do. So it's like if I, Sarah, with my face, leave an anonymous review 3 years ago, or even, 6 months ago, and the restaurant or anybody else can kind of be like, okay, she was here on this day. This is definitely her. That gets weird. There's too much information about me all of a sudden because I chose to be anonymous in the past. So a lot of people got really mad at OpenTable. OpenTable's like, we want to be more transparent. We want people to take accountability for the reviews that they write. Your identity is, that's reality. And on the surface, I can see where they're going with this. But people were really mad. Like, you can't do that to like old reviews that I wrote. Now that person could go and delete the review, but that is effort on their part for kind of a stupid reason. It's like, I had privacy and now you want to make it less private with good intentions going forward, but don't go back in time. As I suspected, within just a couple of days, OpenTable said, okay. Too many people are complaining about this. We get it. We're not going to do this for anonymous reviews in the past. It's going forward. And if you, you don't have to have a profile picture. So, I mean, the name Sarah, pretty common, Sarah with no profile picture. I'm not weirded out by that. I mean, unless I was, I don't know, running from the law or something. But I don't know. I don't know how everybody else felt about it. I didn't even really. Well, first of all, I've never written an OpenTable review. I've written some scathing Yelp reviews though, and they're still up. And they're like slightly embarrassing, but they're also associated with me. So whatever, I did that.
Yeah. I mean, I think my knee-jerk reaction hearing you say this story was like, retroactive? What? And then I thought, well, are they just lazy and they just want to just like clean slate and not have to, I don't know, change it later, which is why they're saying, all of it. Like there's a lever and it, exposes everything. The whole time OpenTable's been an app, which like, why even do that? Is there like, to me, I'm thinking, how many nefarious, body reviews are there, that they're thinking they need to combat? Or is it, again, just laziness on OpenTable's part? Because what happened was in the past. Let's move forward is kind of how I feel, right? Like, do we need to? Like, and honestly, when I look at reviews that are 3+ years old, I don't even like, they're probably not credible anymore to me because things have changed.
Or totally agree with you. Anytime I read a review, and especially if like a person had, well, I guess they could have had a really good experience, but bad experiences tend to draw us to this sort of thing. When you're fired up about something, you're like, I'm going to write the review. It kind of speak to the manager energy. And so, but I will be looking at, maybe I'm looking at a new restaurant type thing. And if I saw an OpenTable review that was 4 years ago, that was just like, this is the worst, chicken dinner I've ever had. It's like, they might have changed the entire recipe or the menu by now, kind of thing.
Exactly.
But if I read about it like, that was like last week, I'm like,
yes.
I wonder if, this restaurant has their, act together.
Yeah. And I mean, I think if the reviews are consistent for years, that's different. But like getting a new chef, getting
Right.
like a remodel, getting a new menu could completely change the trajectory of, that dining experience. So
Totally.
I don't, yeah, if it like, honestly, I think I probably just look at the last 2 years. If I see something from 5 years ago, like, oh, okay, well, hopefully they fix their, I mean, if it's really horrendous, then yes, I may consider it. But I don't even know if I like to sort newest first on all of those types of reviews. And then I don't really scroll all the way down if this,
Newest first that's a good tip.
yeah. Just don't, like, I do that definitely for Yelp. I don't know that because I don't think I've actually written a review for OpenTable myself. Maybe I have, or I definitely give stars. And I actually,
Yeah.
when I get the email from OpenTable, like, how was your experience? I'll just do the stars. Like,
Yeah.
great, 5
I
stars,
tend I
submit.
tend to do that too. I'm like, I know that's good intel for OpenTable.
Mm-hmm.
So, if I liked the restaurant,
Yeah.
or however I felt about it, it's like the review processes, they make it pretty easy. But anyway,
Yeah.
so yes, for anybody who was bent out of shape about OpenTable, making anonymous reviews not anonymous anymore, well, they met you halfway.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
looking
Don't
towards the
worry about it.
future. Yeah.
Don't worry about it. But speaking of apps, this is like, we were thinking about what were we going to talk about this week. And, Sarah, you came up with a great idea of like, why don't we just talk about apps that make our life better?
Yeah. No, okay. So, and there are so many, right? So,
So many.
this will be a reoccurring segment because obviously, apps are everywhere and we all use different apps or use apps differently. You just have lots of choices, which is great. This week, I'm going all in on Apple's own apps.
Okay.
I don't use all of them, but I do use the news app, the journal app, which is relatively new.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And the podcasts app, which I know is a little controversial because a lot of people don't think it's a very good app. Okay, so let's start with the news app. I didn't used to use the news app until very recently, and they got me because when I registered, I guess it was the Vision Pro, or maybe it was I got an Apple TV when I moved. When you get a new Apple product, they'll be like, would you like 3 months of Apple Fitness Plus, or News Plus? And with News Plus, I had ignored it. And then I got another, like, sort of a reminder, like, you have 3 free months of News Plus. And I was like, oh yeah, I mean, then I just write on my calendar to unsubscribe the day before it ends.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe I'll keep it, but at least I know that it can be completely free for 3 months, and I'm not going to get tricked into paying, $14.99 a month or whatever it is after that. So, and this all happened because I have friends who often send me articles like, oh, here's an interesting article, but they're pulling it because they're using the news app. So it turns into an article that I either can or can't read within the news app itself, where I'm just like, now I have to go find it on the internet, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Not the end of the world, but I was like, yeah, let me take advantage of News Plus. It is very nice, with the exception of the New York Times, which opted out of the news app, I believe in 2020. I read a lot of New York Times articles, so that's kind of a bummer. But with the exception of that, there are so many publications that are part of the news app, and a lot of the stuff is just pure fun for me, like Real Simple Magazine. That is not going to help me on Daily Tech News Show, but I like having that as part of my, it's news of sorts, it's lifestyle, it's entertainment, it's a nice app, it's presented well. There's an audio section if you want to listen to stuff. So it's like not exactly podcasty, but you get a lot of crossover there. So I've really been enjoying it. And I was like blissfully unaware of how much I would enjoy the news app for like years.
Yeah. I actually love it too, specifically for the magazines. And, I don't subscribe to magazines, but I can get the latest issue of Elle on the news app, and it comes with News Plus. And I just discovered, so I used to have I think it was like $60 a year or $45. Anyway, whatever. Expensive subscription to online subscription to Dwell. Well, it turns out it's been on Apple News Plus this entire time. So I canceled that other, and now I get it within my service of News Plus. So I'm like, I still have it.
I remember Dwell being a very expensive subscription as well.
Yeah.
And I remember, this is such a weird just anecdote, but a friend of mine, her house was like on the cover of Dwell one month.
Oh. Wow.
Yeah, like she, they did like a renovation in San Francisco, and so they were like a big, it was a big deal. And so I was for whatever reason I knew this, and I was like, maybe it was during the pandemic. I don't know. I couldn't go buy the magazine somewhere, and so I was like, all right, let me find it online somewhere, and I had to buy the subscription, which I think I got a free month and then cancel it just so I could see the front of the magazine, whatever it was. But I was like, well, I don't like Dwell that much. Seemed expensive to me.
Yeah.
So the news app, great way to stay up on news. A lot of magazine content, Rolling Stone, right? Again, it's like, I don't need all that stuff, dead tree versions. And I love going digital for stuff like this.
100%.
I think it's cool, well designed. Yeah. I like it on Mac OS as well. But as far as apps go, I'm digging it on iOS. The Journal app. Now the Journal app got added to the current version of iOS, and a lot of people were like, what is this? What is this app? In fact, a few people I know were like, I just deleted it immediately. And I was like, I don't need to delete it. But the notifications of time to start journaling were really starting to get to me. And that's been going on for a couple of months. And so I turned off notifications, and I was like, okay, you'll never bother me again, Journal app. But then I was like, but I'm not even giving it a chance. What's up? So because I'm not much of a journaler, I know people are, AKA, kind of just diarying things down, journaling. I know it's very meditative and helpful for a lot of people. In fact, it's quite the journaling way of life is a really big deal to a lot of folks. And that's great. I don't really do a lot of that. I just don't. I don't know why. And so I was like, I'm journaling. But when you open the app, what I really like about it is, I can just, start from scratch and just start writing, but it will also remind me, you took a walk on Thursday morning, here's the map, do you want to add, some thoughts about that? I took a picture of a dog on that walk that was a really cute dog. And it's do I want to journal about that? Well, I don't know. Maybe it wasn't that significant, but maybe it was. So it's kind of it's sort of going hey, here's a reminder of something that might spark some ideas. And I think that's kind of neat. And then, someone who I've connected with recently, which I assume means someone I've messaged with recently, because my mom came up as someone I've connected to recently. It's well, we've been connected since I was alive. So I think it's probably based on, just, who you're chatting with. And it's a variety of, and then there are options has somebody inspired you recently? And then you sort of click on that as a prompt, just to kind of get the brain working. I think, again, it's not for everybody. If you're sort of I don't want to write this, because the whole journaling thing is supposed to be this thing you do for yourself.
Yeah.
It's not like a blog post that you're going to publish later. It's this therapeutic thing, that not only lets you sort of get your thoughts out, but also lives as this sort of, booklet of memories and yours.
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty cool, because I think if it was just the journal app, write something on Monday, I'm wouldn't I just do that in the notes app? This is dumb. But I feel like this is a little bit more fun. I'm still going to keep notifications off because I can't be bothered to journal every day. But I'm going to give it a try. So I will report back in a couple of weeks and let you know if I'm a happier person because I've got on the journaling train.
Ooh, I want to know. Maybe I'll check it out. The prompts are interesting because, if you just look at a blank slate, it's really hard sometimes to think, what should I note? you know?
Right. Yeah.
I don't know. It's nice to be inspired, I guess. So I
Indeed.
will check that out.
Yeah. And then
Um,
finally, the podcast app. I know that everybody loves Pocket Cast or Overcast or anything but Apple Podcasts. And Apple Podcast is the UI is wonky. It is. But I'm gonna just admit it and be fully transparent. I'm not gonna pretend I'm someone I'm not. I'm still using it because sometimes I get set in my ways and, it's an app and I'm using it. So there.
I'm kind of, yeah, I use the, yes, I use the Apple Podcast app. And then occasionally, because I'm a big Spotify user, I might find a podcast on there because they feature it or whatever. But I generally listen to my podcasts on the Apple Podcast app. I have no problem with the I don't have no problem with it at all. As long as it plays. And now it has transcriptions. This is fantastic. I love it.
Yeah. I mean, I think the only thing that constantly bugs me is I'll be listening to an episode of a podcast, right? Something I've subscribed to, but it's not. I'm like, where is this the most recent one? Like, show me the list, right? And sometimes it's like hard to figure. Like, if it's already playing, I'll click on what I think it should be, and I want my list, and it's like. It just doesn't take me to the right place. Okay. I don't really know how to describe it, but I know other people have had the same issue. It's not super intuitive all the time. And sometimes the settings, which I don't actually fuss with because I want all my podcasts to play, oldest to newest. But, the way your experience works, I mean, you can get really granular about how different podcasts behave. And I just like it all to work the same way. But I do sometimes... Especially if a podcast will end and I just let it go and it jumps into like the middle of a podcast that I didn't finish before, where I'm like, oh, okay, well, where are we in this podcast? Like, do I even want to listen to the end of this or do I want to like jump to something newer? Anyway, all that to be said, I have other podcast apps that I should probably revisit, but transparency,
They work.
using the podcast app. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So my 3 apps, I wasn't sure if I was going to go all Apple or not. And I didn't, mostly because I think about the ones that I use every day. And I'm not going to add like the social networking apps that I do use. In fact, the one that I use the most is TikTok. But I'm like, it doesn't really enhance my life. It probably degrades it a bit. So let's not go there. To be honest with you. But the ones that I feel like are really helpful in my life that I use constantly. The first one should be a no-brainer to some of you guys since I've been saying that I've been learning Korean, which is Duolingo. I have been using Duolingo since we moved to this house in 2018. It was a way for me to kind of de-stress. And also I was learning Mandarin, and I'm still taking Mandarin. I'm also taking a little French, but of course now I'm using the app for Korean. And today, when I do Duolingo today, I will be at 1,819 days, 1,819 days
Wow.
streak.
Wow. Streak? Really?
It's a streak. And
wow.
So that's the other thing they gamify. Just to use it every day, you get one, and then you get whatever. It's a gamified kind of thing. But
yeah,
I panic if I don't use the app. And there's a feature like once you've been using it for so long to keep your streak, but you only get X amount of those. So there's been a couple days, especially when I'm like traveling internationally. One time when we were going to Japan, I'm like, how did I lose my streak? I played at 11 p.m. Pacific time. And now you're telling me I lost my streak because I flew in. I was so angry, but I had my streak. I had my streak free, so it was totally fine. It's a little obsessive. I get that. But it's actually, I'm learning. So over the 7 years, 6 years of using it, I have a basic knowledge of Mandarin. And it's helping with me with my Korean right now. And I learned French just because I wanted a romance language, and I've in the past taken Spanish. I really like the listening tools on it. I like being able to speak, and every once in a while the iPhone doesn't hear me correctly, and I'm like, wait a minute, I said. Yeah, it's just fun. And there you partner with somebody sometimes, and you have like these sort of like how many times you partner with them for the week, and it's like once you do it 10 times together, you win, you get extra points and blah 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 blah, all this stuff.
Yeah,
So
I
there's
love
so many
Duolingo as well.
there's so many language apps, but that's my go-to, and specifically because I'm on 1,819 days, so I have to do this before
That is
the end of tonight.
impressive. I mean, I was like, okay, you've kept track, but if that's a streak, I mean, my streaks, I'll get like a couple weeks, and then I just, I don't know, I get busy or I'm not in the mood. I am practicing French on Duolingo. Last year, I paid for Duolingo Plus, I think it's called, and I guess I canceled that, which was a little bit more expensive than I thought it would be, but because I just, I don't know, while I was moving and, I just fell off the wagon,
Of using it.
whatever the analogy is, to the point where I was like, because Duolingo's right on my home screen on my iPhone, and the little, bird, I guess,
The
like
owl,
now has like a sad face. And I'm like, is it because I'm not playing and they changed the icon on my home screen? Or is everyone seeing the sad owl? I think it's because I'm
Is this your face? Can you see it at all?
Let's
You
see.
can't see my stream. But like it does look a little concerned. It's not quite happy. The eyes are a little concerning.
Oh, see, you have a totally different icon than I do.
Okay. Yeah.
Weird.
All right.
Huh. Yeah. I think it's because it's sad because I'm not playing, because I really haven't been until like the other day. The only other thing about Duolingo, and Eileen, let me know how you deal with this, is you can tell it like, hey, I'm not in a place where I can speak out loud right now type thing.
Exactly.
But and you could use headphones, I guess, but I will often be playing, and the ding when you get something right, whoever's around me is like, what is that? Because I'm like, I have to hear it. So it's like, if you don't have earbuds, which again I do, so not a big deal, but it can be a little disruptive if you're sharing space with other people, because if you want to use it to its full capacity, you really do have to say things out loud.
You do. Sound if
your pronunciation.
Are you there?
I'm there. Yeah.
Oh, okay. No, there's sound effects. I guess you could turn those off if you really want to, but I like hearing the dings.
I do
don't
too.
know.
Yeah.
I just like it feels like it's talking back to me more so than just, I don't know. Anyway.
But then you still have to hear the app, even if you turn off the ding dings, there's a lot of audio involved.
Yeah.
Because that's the way you learn a language. I don't know.
Exactly. Now they've even added music to the situation too. For some languages, you could actually learn music. So, all right. So that is my first one. The second one is Apple Notes. I use it all the time, and the biggest reason why I use it is the ability to sync across devices. When I throw something, and most of the Apple apps, there's the ability to sync, but there's just something for me whenever I need to cut and paste something, an article or whatever. I mean, if I'm on my laptop, I know that when I throw it in Notes, I'm going to be able to pick it up in my phone or my iPad, and it works seamless. I don't even have to think; it's there.
Yep.
And I also, I don't know if I should say this, but I do use it for passwords. And sometimes when I can't remember my password, I'm like, Butterfly Notes. There it is. Because
I've got a password or two in Notes as well.
Yeah. So anyway, for me, the Notes app is, and I've watched so many tutorials recently of the Notes app and how robust it really is. And we're not using it to its full potential. No, most people don't use it to its full potential for like the folders and the categorizing and the hashtags and all this stuff that's really functioning more than just a notepad. So I really love it. W Scottis one says you can lock Notes to Face ID. Thank you. So yeah, I should, and that particular password section is locked. So I gotta tell you, there's just too many passwords, and my LastPass doesn't always work across device. Anyway, so Notes, I love it so much because it's just so seamless. And then the final app that I use a lot is CapCut. I use that now on my desktop. It's not the editing app. CapCut is an editor, a video editor app. I don't use it for this show, for the main show for audio, but I do use it for our social cuts. When you see cuts on Instagram and TikTok, I've cut those on CapCut desktop. But the iPhone app is what I love. And I use that constantly to take my raw footage and to kind of like, it's so easy to use and so intuitive. And now they have pro features that are even amazing. There's like even AI tools that I've used to see, here's my raw footage, cut it down in 30 seconds. And it does a pretty decent job. Plus it has captioning, plus it has, I don't know. It just they keep adding more features and I'm like, oh my God, please stop. I don't know if I need it anymore. They have templates that make everything, you can make and build a really cool reel really quickly with the app. So CapCut is something that I love on a mobile on my mobile device. Like I love it so much. Desktop is new, but I am using it more on my desktop and I don't know, maybe I might dump that Adobe Premiere for CapCut. We'll see. It's not great for everything that I need on it as a desktop, but it might get there. So
I have to admit, I've never used it. I've never used CapCut, and I'm going to download it or install it as soon as we're done here.
The thing I've had people ask me what I should use, and I'm not a strong editor, and I'm like, just use CapCut. They got templates, or they'll make it super easy for you. It really is intuitive. I can't express how easy it is to use, and it does really cool things. Now, if you're used to a different program, it's gonna take some time. Like, where the hell is the audio fade? Like, sometimes there was a couple times when I first started using it, I'm like, how is there no audio fade? Oh, it's there. It's just different. Every software is different. So, anyway, download CapCut.
Well, we are going to wrap up this show by talking a little bit about what we're watching. So a little bit about the apps that we're using and the show. I mean, I watch lots of shows, but a new show that is part of Apple TV Plus called Sugar, starring Colin Farrell. A lot of people are in this.
I saw that. It looks
a lot of
really
people are in the
good.
show. Amy Ryan, Sydney Chandler, James Cromwell. Yeah, a lot of folks. But he plays plays an American detective who's trying to figure out, it's like a murder mystery type thing. Kind of reminds me of why am I blanking on this? The Matthew McConaughey, Woody Harrelson first season of they were in Louisiana.
Yes.
Everybody loved it.
Yes.
Somebody help.
The True Detective.
True Detective. Thank you. So True Detective is a little bit more like supernatural powers type thing. And
really?
I've only gotten through, I think, the first 2 episodes of Sugar. First of all, I won't spoil anything. There really isn't anything to spoil at this point because nobody knows what's going on yet. It's more just like character development. But it's like there's more than meets the eye to him. And we're seeing little hints about that. And he's a very good actor. I've always liked him. He really seems to be on a roll right now. He's sort of back in the spotlight after maybe he's been really busy acting this whole time, and I just didn't know. But it seems like over the last few years, it's like, wow, did you get a new agent or something? You're kind of everywhere. But that's good. I like you. But it's a little heavy on. It's modern day. They're in LA. And they're, very cinematic LA stuff. You see like the Griffith Observatory and, palm trees and, cool cars and stuff like that. But it's like, it's modern, but it's trying to evoke this old Hollywood, like LA Confidential sort of mystery charm. There's flashbacks. It's sort of strange in that way. At first I was like, I think I see what they're doing. I don't know if I like it, but I think you just have to kind of go with it. And it becomes a somewhat interesting and rather slow-paced show. Again, after 2 episodes, I'm like, yeah, nothing's really happened yet, but I see we're going to get there.
Okay.
So anyway, give it a shot if you have Apple TV Plus.
It's number one on Apple's TV show chart. So it's Sugar right in front of Benjamin Franklin here.
Yes,
Tom
Benjamin
Royal.
Franklin.
Yeah, there's actually I think I want a comedy, so I was gonna check out Loot with Maya Rudolph. Sorry. I don't know if you've seen that yet, but I haven't. I
saw the
haven't yet.
trailer. Yeah.
I'm looking for something short. Just because my Korean dramas on Netflix are really long, so I want something a little bit more, snackable, I guess. So I'm looking for the 30.
I'm with you on that.
Looking for my Ted Lasso replacement. I'm hoping there's something here on Apple TV. So yeah. To answer the question of what I'm watching, I haven't been watching a series on Apple TV quite yet, but I am very interested. So yeah, I will let you guys know if I start Loot and how that goes. But what I did do this weekend on my Apple TV using the YouTube app was I watched all of Coachella. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Wow.
I mean, I watched as much as I could, starting when they started their stream at like 4 or 5, and then I just kept going. This is what I did. This is what I'm like. I felt like I went to a festival, and I didn't even go to the festival. Because the thing about it this year is that they had they've always streamed all of the stages. I think the last couple of years, they have opened up live streaming every single stage for every single artist that's up there. So you don't really have to go. You can just watch, right? So camera angles sometimes are a little weird. Sorry, TD, technical directors and directors of Coachella, but sometimes you don't focus on the right artist. Anyway, what they've added is multi-view, meaning like on one screen, you can see the Sahara tent, the main stage, the Gobi tent all at one. And you can follow. And so when one goes down, meaning like when they're done and or if you're waiting for an artist, you can just have that screen up and, it's just a slate that says who's coming up, but you don't lose what else is going on. I never missed any of the special guests that came out on all of the shows. So when Olivia Rodrigo came out with No Doubt and I was kind of busy watching something else, I didn't miss that. When Shakira made a surprise guest with an artist that I didn't know and I wasn't paying attention. I saw her. I'm like, let's go right there. She's right there. So I was able to catch all of the crazy, special guests and then click back to the artist that I really wanted to hear. It was a good experience, So I felt like I camped out at Coachella with all of them, but I didn't have to sweat. I didn't have to be in the heat or the wind. And it was great. I got to experience artists that I didn't even know existed. And it was fun. It was really fun. So I now, having gone, because they're going to do it for a second weekend, now I know who I really want to re-see for next week, now that I've watched, because they're going to do the whole thing again next weekend. You can experience the whole live streaming bit. And, I always discover someone new. Like, even if I know the name of the artist, maybe I didn't really listen to them, but when I see them live, oh my God, I love them even more. I will say that this artist is big, but I watched his set last night. I watched J Balvin, and I know his songs, but when I saw him live, even on my TV, I was like, that man, I will shake my booty. I will go to his concert. If I this is exciting. He had like a set with aliens and like a spaceship. I was like, what is going on? And then I don't know if you know, Sarah, but he brought out Will Smith to rap.
No,
First of all, Will
I have
Smith
not caught up on all the Coachella stuff.
Will Smith has not done anything since the incident, and all of a sudden he's up there dressed because the whole alien thing worked with Men in Black, right? So he goes up there and raps a part and gives J Balvin a break, and then the concert resumes and more J Balvin music. But it was
I didn't
fantastic.
know that.
Yeah, he showed up last night. It was like, wait, what did I just watch? I'm like, does this mean he's back? Is he going to come back into the public, or is he still kind of like ashamed? But anyway, it was fun. It was fun to watch all weekend long, and I really did discover some amazing new artists and watch some of my favorite K-pop artists too. So that was really fun.
That's great. Anyway. I knew Coachella was happening this weekend. I knew I could watch it. I just sort of didn't, not for any real reason, but this inspires me maybe to check things out next weekend because, as you mentioned, they do it, it's 2 weekends, first weekend, second weekend. And I mean, unless like a surprise guest is like different than Olivia Rodrigo with No Doubt next week. I mean, at this point, like people would really want her to come back, you know, but maybe they'll do something different. But for the most part, you kind of go like, okay, I see what's in store for me. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. A lot of times when I've watched in the past, they do change up the special guests. Although the weird one is I watched Vampire Weekend and they brought up Paris Hilton to play what is the game Cornrow where you throw cornhole and you
That is weird.
it was
I don't
bizarre.
understand how that
why?
is part of a musical show, but okay.
Yeah, and then she left. She left the stage. She came out looking like a Paris Hilton, like she does, and then she tossed the thing, and then she left. I was like, "This is the strangest thing." But
it sounds weird, yeah.
And I feel like Vampire Weekend. Actually, he told the story that they were called a week ago to perform, so they didn't have a lot of time. And so maybe they were like, you can get a special, because the thing to do is grab a special guest, you know, and maybe they didn't have one, but maybe somebody knew Paris
There's like
Hilton.
A moment, that the
Get a
bands
moment.
are supposed to
Wouldn't
have.
it be funny to have, I mean, they do have a new album apparently, which I didn't know. They did, have, I guess it was a talkable moment because you're like, what the heck does she have to do? I was like, I literally thought she was going to sing. I was like, oh no, why are you? And then she didn't. And I was like, okay, bye. Nothing against her.
I guess she has had a couple of sort of
she does
pop hits, not recently, but she's a DJ. I don't know. I mean, kind of a, hey, you're in the music scene, whatever.
Exactly.
I don't know how cornhole fits into this, but maybe we're not supposed to overthink it too much.
Exactly. So anyway, I would suggest y'all check it out, or just kind of, check out the grid of artists, and you'd be surprised, I think, as much as
and the nice thing is that you watched it when it was live, but this stuff is available on demand too.
1000%. You can actually go to the Coachella live streaming channel right now and like just scroll. And, oh, did you miss Doja Cat in a mud ring last night, Sarah? You probably did.
I did.
I think it's actually worth watching. Also, Doja Cat had a moment where she had Bigfoot, like all of her dancers look like Bigfoot, including her. I was very like, this is almost like, I'm like, I know she's got a lot of pop hits, but the presentation is very much like performance art, like a modern art set. And then at the very end, the last song, like she was in a mud pit. I kid you not. And I was like, I was riveted. I don't even know what to think anymore. But it is worth your time to watch. I will
putting
say
on
that.
a good show. I mean, that's entertainment.
She is not boring. Anyway,
well, hopefully we didn't bore you either, everyone. Here at episode 11, we usually stick to an hour. We give you a little extra content today.
A little extra.
So real quick, just a reminder, we are on Instagram. We're on TikTok. We also please email us feedback at applevisionshow.com. And I don't know, Eileen, did you see anything on any of the socials that caught your eye as far as stuff that we need to respond to? Oh, we did get some comments on YouTube. That's cool. Hit and Run Tony said, if Apple Vision Pro becomes mainstream, personas can become a thing like in the movie Surrogates, where their avatar will stay young and good looking long after the user gets old and bald, etc. Yeah, I think I have not seen this movie, but I think there are other examples that are sort of similar to this. There was that Black Mirror episode where it's like, they're in love, but they're, the real life thing. And then like Vanilla Sky, sort of the same thing, where it's like in real life, everything went to heck, but in his like fantasy life, he gets the girl and is happy again. I think Personas has ways to go, but I get where you're going, Tony. I get where you're going with this. I think this whole sort of living a self that is a lot like you, but doesn't have the issues that humans have. Like my back hurt this morning. I don't think my persona has a back.
Oh yeah.
So they're fine. They're fine.
And they're never going to get blemishes either. They're always going to look amazing. The skin is going to look so good.
There you go. Yeah. The first persona I made actually on Vision Pro, I was like, we need to redo that one. I hate myself, but they let you. It's not quite Face ID levels. They're trying to make it look good.
There is one more comment. This one was for me. I just wanted to make sure I answered it. But hi, Eileen. I know you're learning Korean right now, but curious if you speak Tagalog at all. My wish is to learn Korean and Japanese. I love the show. Thank you, guys. I am half bilingual. I understand Tagalog, but I don't speak it because I didn't have to learn it at home. My parents, first, I'm second generation, but they wanted me to learn English. They immigrated from the Philippines, and while I can speak it specifically, I tried my best when I was in the Philippines, but they all knew. And, English is many people speak English in the Philippines. But yeah, I can watch a show, I can listen, and I understand 100% because I never really used it to speak, I can say words and I'm just not as fluent.
You hear that from a lot of people who grew up in a household where English was not the first language. For like my mom spoke Spanish at home. Like I understand everything she's saying, but then I'll just answer her in English type thing.
Yeah, exactly. So
it's like
because
two different parts
practice.
of the brain. Yeah.
And because I wasn't really asked to have to speak it, even though all our relatives would come over and they would be speaking it, I don't know, I think maybe everybody was really interested in me speaking in English. I was the firstborn, so they wanted to hear me with an American accent. Yeah. Nowadays, I feel like my sister's kids are learning. They're actually learning. Well, the oldest is learning Mandarin right now, even though she's half Filipino. So, the trend now is to be more bilingual these days and to know your native tongue. So, I don't know that I regret it, but no, at least I can understand it completely. You can't say anything to me and try to pull one over me because I know what you're saying.
Well, thankfully, I can't try. And I can't understand a darn word. I mean, I feel like Tagalog is one of those, there are a lot of like English words where you go like, I have no idea what that sentence was, but I heard the word, radio. Or, there's certain words that stand out where you're like, oh, English is, there's stuff.
In there.
Yeah, it's in there.
And then also kind of mixed with Spanish. Yeah.
So
thank you for that. Thank you for that comment, Icy Cold 9406.
Well, y'all, I think we're going to wrap this one up. Thanks so much for joining us. And if you have feedback for the show, once more, feedback at applevisionshow.com. Send us your feedback because we will take that feedback and make something yummy for you. A bowl of soup.
Warm
of feedback.
Soup or cold soup in a hot day? I don't know.
Yeah,
it'll be tasty.
One of my favorite kinds of soup.
There you go. Thank you.
Can't wait. Yeah, it's a summer soup.
That was Amos telling us to shut up. For a show where I was like, what are we going to talk about, Sarah?
Uh-huh.
So we don't need that much. I literally, just for those of you on the live stream, I was like,
my nose was so itchy that whole show. Like, I felt like somebody was like there was like a feather, and I'm like, I don't want to, take care of it because I don't want to look like I'm picking my nose, And then, so I was sort of like, I kept trying to do it, when like you're talking, and then it sort of like traveled over to the left side where I'm like, oh my God. It's so itchy.
So annoying.
It's so annoying. Yeah. I don't know. I'm not sick. I feel sort of, I have a thick sinus issue.
Oh yeah. That's annoying. That's annoying.
Sarah, I have your Duolingo.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wait, that's what it looks like?
Mine looks like.
It must be because you're not using it.
It must be, which is funny because I noticed that, again, hadn't been on the app at all for like a couple months. And it's on my home screen. And one day I looked at it, I'm like, was it always like that? I don't think so. Like, why would they want like such a sad owl to be like the icon? So I went in and like I played a couple exercises and I like went back to the home screen. I'm like, still sad. Okay, I guess I have to play more. So, okay, Duolingo, message taken. Message received, point taken.
Yeah.
You just have to do it once a day and then it'll go away. It's not like you have to really go for the
trust me. I mean, I was, my streaks again, like I'm not as disciplined as you are, but I enjoy it. It's not like, oh, I have to play Duolingo today. No, it's fun. I enjoy it. I just sometimes, it's like exercising, right? It's like if I exercise every day, I keep exercising every day. If a couple weeks go by, you forget how great you feel, and you're just like, maybe tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow. And so,
Momentum works in both directions.
It does. It definitely does. Yeah.
I didn't even get into
probably same idea there. The more you journal, the more you journal.
The more you journal. Oh, I thought he was telling me they're going to go live. No, I didn't even get into the whole like leagues of it all, because there's the whole like championship leagues. There's all these different levels to be in, and I'm in the Diamond League. I finally came back after like months
I was in the Diamond League because I was doing real good for a while, but I'm definitely not anymore. The whole deal, like, there will be people. I haven't dabbled in any language except French, but there will be people that I don't know who are like slightly ahead of me, and I'm like, all right, I've got another 15 minutes. Let's get ahead.
Yeah.
It's like,
well, sometimes they give you the boost too, where you get double the points. For 15 minutes, if you play right now, you get double points for every level. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll keep going.
I know. It's like, well, I mean, if it was some sort of a game app where it was being like sort of that in-app purchase predatory stuff, where I just try to stay away from that kind of thing.
Yeah, same.
But this is like, it's just, I mean, I guess it's the same because it, wants you to just stay in the app. But it's like, it's very effective because it's fun. I mean, it is a game in a way, but it's like a game where you're learning real world skills. It's not an escapist kind of thing.
Right.
And it is helpful. Right. It is helpful. I mean, I was learning French before Duolingo ever came along. But, so, I didn't start from scratch. Mm-hmm. But it's still
brushing up.
It's just a little like, it's that every day, just keep it fresh. Keep it fresh. Yeah. Instead of me being like, oh my God, how do you say church again? It's like, I know. Yeah. I just saw that, a few minutes ago. Yeah. It was in a word or in a sentence.
In a sentence, yeah.
I need an app that'll help me learn ASL. That's the language I want to learn.
Oh, okay.
There probably is.
Yeah. There's got to be.
So if you're watching or listening right now and you know an app that will help learn ASL the way Duolingo is helping me learn Hawaiian.
That's Hawaiian. Fun. Yeah.
Wow, I didn't even know that was a Duolingo option. That's pretty cool.
Oh, yeah.
American Sign Language, if anyone's confused.
Yes.
What ASL is.
They even had like the Game of Thrones language in. I don't know if they still do. They must. Dothraki, I think. Valerian.
Wow.
Am I crazy? I thought it was. Oh, High Valerian. Yeah, and then Valerian. Klingon they have in here.
Mm-hmm.
Like, wow.
Klingon is probably the most well-established fantasy language.
Is it?
Like, I believe so. There's also Elvish from Lord of the Rings. I don't know if that's in Duolingo, but
it might. Is it? It might be. I don't know. Anyway, there was one moment in the show, Sarah, where I thought you froze.
Yes, and
that's why I was like,
I saw
are you there?
I was looking at the video at that time. I saw a tiny glitch on you, but it didn't.
Oh,
it
so
didn't
it was
freeze.
both of us. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we probably just saw each other's like little whatevers, and then just sort of because you're like, "Are you there?" And I'm like, "Yes." Maybe I was just being really still.
You were, because I was like, "Oh no, is she freezing again? Like, do I have to start over?"
Mm-hmm. Okay, guys, I gotta bounce, and I know, Amos, you've got another thing to do, but this was fun, and we'll talk to y'all later. Thanks everybody for watching the live stream.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Everybody.